Hello everyone, and here we are, IATEFL 2018, and I have the pleasure of speaking to Thomas Strasser.
Hi there.
Welcome.
Hi there.
It's lovely to meet you, Thomas. Could you tell us a little bit about yourself and your teaching context?
Okay, thanks for having me, of course. I'm an educational technologist and a professor of language methodology and technology-enhanced learning and teaching at the University College of Teacher Education in Vienna. And I used to be an English teacher. Still, I teach English to student teachers, pre-service teachers, and I'm in teacher training. So the combination of technology and ELT has been of great relevance in my career.
It must be, and it is a booming area of ELT.
It is, yeah.
So I understand you had a presentation today.
That's right.
Can you tell us a little bit about your topic?
Sure. I was talking about the use of smartphones and the use of mobile applications in the EFL classroom. And I was more or less considering the idea how we could possibly methodologically exploit these apps in our EFL classroom. So I was talking about buzzword phrases, typical cliches and stereotypes when it comes to mobile learning scenarios, like, everybody's staring at his or her smartphones. We've all become zombies, smartphone zombies, staring at our smartphones. And I wanted to have a look at these discussions in a more differentiated way by more or less underlining also the potential of M-learning scenarios, not only focusing on bling flashy tools, but rather focusing on the solid methodological background of using such tools.
So what would you say is the most important aspect of using mobile apps for English language teaching and learning, of course?
Well, luckily, a lot of experts here, and there are many experts in the field where I can really learn from, agree that we should not focus too much on a certain kind of technological determinism. So don't trust the bling flashy tool again, even if a lot of software developers tell you by using this tool your lessons will be revolutionized, which is wrong. You should always be critical. You should critically reflect on certain tools. You should critically reflect on data privacy. You should critically reflect on the ways how you could possibly use it. Are these apps free or not? Can you more or less support peer learning with these tools? And what about the role of the teacher in this learning scenario? So don't just believe an app that has just been published just because it's colorful or comes in quite nicely or handy.
This is amazing and also very inspiring, because lately we feel that, the apps are here, the teacher is out. And obviously this is not true. How do you feel about that?
This is one of my main insights in my talks, that I always say, don't do any kind of Nike methodology. That means don't just give the teacher the tools and tell them, just do it. That's not enough, because a lot of teachers more or less suffer from an information overflow and overload when watching these tools, because they say, wow, okay, they look nice, but how do they work and how could I possibly use them? So I'm a big fan of methodological reduction or micro-teaching sequences, that you use a certain app just for 1 or 2 sequences. It can also be your smartphones, and you just tell your kids, let's go outside, take a picture of an object and try to lexically annotate this object using specific vocab you learned in class, for example. So it's not about rocket science. I think this is one of the most important things. I am not an IT expert, and this is what a lot of my people still at University College believe, that I'm the tech guy, and when a printer breaks down they call me, and that's wrong, and this is what I'm fighting against, this kind of misconception. We're not talking about technology, we're talking about methodology and how new learning technologies can more or less amplify the learning experience. I'm well aware of the fact that this sounds a bit exaggerated, but there's plenty of research going on that this research scientifically proves the idea that especially inhibited students benefit from new learning technologies. And I always come up with this example of one of my students. He's quite inhibited in the classroom. He's one of those who does not really dare to raise his hand and say something in the classroom, in the analog classroom. But when using, for example, a podcasting app like Spreaker at home, he records himself, listens to his voice, and records and re-records over and over again until he thinks it's perfect, and then sends it to the teacher, for example. And this is a nice idea how technology or apps can enhance the learning experience. They would possibly not replace the learning experience. And that's why my talk does not really have a TEDx revolutionary wow insight, because I'm just saying it's all about blended learning. That's the mixture of analog and digital teaching. This is nothing revolutionary, but I'm a true believer in the step-by-step policy, so that we try to slowly implement these tools in our everyday life.
Actually, to my ears, it sounds very inclusive. We include different kinds of learners.
Definitely.
We can accommodate different types of teaching, and there is a broader range of skills that can be used.
Excellent, yeah, you're so right. And especially the aspect of digital inclusion, there's a massive impact on that. So because we do have a lot of new possibilities in order to support our learners with, for example, tablets and with certain apps that really focus on certain disabilities, but not only disabilities, but also skills, talents, and abilities. Because also digital inclusion is not only about focusing on disabilities, it's also about supporting certain talents and certain skills. And by using some kind of these self-paced apps, for example, where the learner can learn with her own or his own speed, really supports the idea of promoting various potentials and talents.
This is very interesting. Turning to the conference, how have you enjoyed it so far?
I'm really enjoying myself big time. There's so many great people, and the nice thing is I do know many people personally, but the funny thing is I have a lot of Facebook friends which I met for the first time here, and I just told Heike that it's so funny. You see this person you've never met in your whole life, but you know there's some kind of like connection due to the social interaction on Twitter and Facebook. So this is a quite good example that also such social networks really have a nice social potential.
Is there anything else you would like to share with our IATEFL audience today?
What I would really like to share is the main idea, and I really like that concerning the plenaries, that these topics really were grand and very emotional and had a great impact. Yeah, for example, the plenary on how textbooks are made really came up with a very reflective, controversial discussion, because what it's all about, it's about course books here as well. We do have to consider the fact that there's a lot of publishers, and that's why I really liked it a lot that the organizers really invited somebody who tried to come up with a very interesting and reflective viewpoint on how textbooks are made and how also businesses work. And I think this is extremely important because, of course, we do have people working for publishers, but we also do have people who self-publish, which also is going to be a hot topic in the future, definitely. Yeah.
It's been amazing talking to you. Thank you for coming.
You.
Thank you for your time.
Thanks for having me.